Dreams are something that help us make sense of the world around us. I feel like each of us have something really unique to offer and share in the world, and it's through our dreams that we can really begin to hold on to this golden thread, begin to get guidance of exactly who it is we are. The more lucid we become in our dreams, the more lucid we become in our waking life. For me, the word lucidity means presence. This process of lucid dreaming is one of cultivating this. And so many people's attention is looking outside. How can I fit in? Please entertain me. What happens is you're shifting from being this consumer of reality to how much you are a creator.
Remember how little you know. You're just a curious monkey after all.
Hello and welcome back. It's been a while. I've been very busy working in a project that we are going to be sharing here very soon, so stay tuned. But today here we are in Curious Monkeys, the section of this channel where we interview people in a long-form conversation, podcast style, where I sit down with some of my friends, some of my mentors. And today I'm sitting down with James, an amazing guy that I meet in the Sacred Valley in Peru. James, between other things, is a lucid dream guide, and I just came out from a 3-month online course with him. I really recommend this adventure. It's been amazing to be with a group of people just exploring our dreams and exploring the art of becoming aware that you are dreaming. But what I realized during this course is that lucid dreaming is just much more than just dreaming. It's like in order to have lucid dreams, you need to have like a lucid life. It's almost like a Buddhist approach where you cultivate presence in many, many ways. I experienced a lot of healing. I experienced a lot of amazing dreams that were mind-blowing. And this art of lucid dreams is like amazing because it's accessible to every single one of us. You don't need to travel far away to remote places to drink ayahuasca, other psychedelics, or you dream every night. So everybody has this door open to a world of healing, of self-discovery, and a world that will definitely make you question your reality. It's been an amazing time with James, and I hope that these conversations will capture a little bit the journey that we've been through together and with other people of the group. If you really want to work on this, I really recommend you to attend this course. He's doing this very often, every 3 months. So check his website, that is awakenacademy.org. And for now, I'm just going to leave you with the conversation. It's an amazing introduction to the art, and probably James can speak much better than me about this. So yeah, stay tuned and see you very soon. So thank you for coming, thank you for doing this. I think we're going to have a really interesting conversation, but let's start from what is this?
This came to me on a very magical journey when we were traveling in a camper van through Glastonbury, through England, and all the sacred sites. And Gaia, my wife, she wasn't my wife then, but she said, "Is there anything physical you'd really, really love from this journey?" And I was like, "A really special stick." And we were lucky enough to find a wizard on our path who grows, this is ash, and he grows honeysuckle. And this takes, I think, 7 to 9 years to grow. And the intention was just for it to be a talking stick for the community garden projects I was running. And yeah, I feel like holding it really helps you connect and speak from your heart. So it's been a real blessing. Since I've had it, it comes to me in my dreams, and it's sort of revealed other ways that you can use it. So I won't turn you into a frog.
Okay.
But it's very, very magical.
Amazing. So let's start by, how would you imagine like the typical scenario that met somebody in the plane, somebody that you don't know, and they ask you, what do you do? for living.
Uh-huh.
How will be your answer?
Well, it depends. I would sort of have a look and see how ready they are for the real answer. But I guess I like to do many things. I like to help people come back to their heart primarily, and to remember the wisdom within their own heart. And so there's many ways that I really like to do this. And one of the ways is through people to remember how to dream and to listen to their dreams. So, yeah, depending on how much they look like they're listening on the plane, I would carry on or not. It's interesting because last year we got married. My wife and I got married, and we had a beautiful ceremony here in Peru. And we also had a beautiful party in England, but then we had to do the legal wedding. And at the legal wedding, they say, so what's your job? This is going to be on your family tree record forever. And so, Gaia is also a teacher. So she said, I'm a teacher. And I said, I'm a teacher. And they went, oh, that's so lovely. Is it primary school? Is it secondary school? And Gaia said, I'm an astrology teacher. And then they looked, and I said, I'm a Lucid Dreams teacher. And they went, oh, do you really want us to write this down? And we said yes, because it's beautiful for people to remember this lost ancient knowledge. I feel like it's just really resurfacing right now. And I feel like, when we got married, I would like my great-great-great-grandchild one day to read and go, wow, maybe that's in my blood to follow my dreams.
Why is that? Why we need to remember how to dream as a society? Obviously speaking more about the modern world society, because there is societies that they do remember how to dream, but most of the Western inhabitants, they lost that access, they lost that art. Why do you think that's happening?
Well, there's so much to speak about this, I think people belittle dreams as something that's inconsequential or just almost like mess of the mind. And sometimes dreams can look like that, particularly if we don't pay attention to them. Dreams are something that help us make sense of the world around us in a very basic, simple form. But the deeper you go into really paying attention, really listening, bringing your awareness to your dreams, what your dreams are telling you is something much deeper. It's telling you who you are. And I feel like in all humans, there's this huge desire for us to belong, which is beautiful, and I feel like that is very helpful. And throughout the ages, that's helped us to create tribes, to create friendships and all of this. But it's been very sort of survival orientated. So what people have done and what you see people doing, what I've done in my own life, is sacrifice who I truly am to try and fit into a culture. And so not everybody, but many people appear to be sacrificing who they are, sacrificing their dreams to just fit into school, to fit into their culture. And I feel like what happens for many people, particularly who begin to walk a path of self-awareness, is that there's an ache and a realization that we're not truly being ourselves. And I feel like that's really, really important. I feel like each of us have something really unique to offer and share in the world. And it's through our dreams that we can really begin to hold on to this golden thread, begin to get guidance of exactly who it is we are and what it is we came here to do. We're living in a time now where everything is becoming automated, and we have AI intelligence that can take care of all of the information or regurgitation of information. Even you can get an AI lawyer that would be better than many, many lawyers now. Because they have access to all information, they can regurgitate that information intelligently. What we clearly need right now is new ideas, not regurgitation of something that's happened before, and where the new ideas come from, or they come from our dreams. And this isn't just a path of self-awareness, of inner alchemy, of spiritual growth. It's also very practical. So if you look at the Iroquois tribe of North America, what they said is that their dreams are their single most important spiritual and practical part of being a human. And so, why? Well, because the great dreamers in times of famine were the ones that were guided as to where to forage or hunt for food. So it meant that literally was the survival of their tribe. If you look around us now on the planet, there's a lot of conflict. It's obvious that the climate is changing. And what we really need now is for people to listen to their dreams and begin to weave them into the world to create solutions for some of the challenges we face. There are obvious examples throughout history of this happening through dreams. Even the blueprint of Google came through a dream. The sewing machine came through a dream. These are tremendous shifts for humanity. The periodic table were inspired by dreams. So many very, very practical solutions have come that way. And so the more of us that are listening, the more of us that are paying attention to our dreams, the more likely it is we find beautiful solutions. And solutions that, if I look at all of the great dreamers across the indigenous tribes of the world, if I look at their relationship with their environment, it's very interesting to see how well they live in harmony with their environment. And so I feel like dreams naturally bring us towards this experience of harmony within, as well as harmony with our environment and our community. So there's some reasons, but the reason I tend to teach people over 3 months is because I could keep talking for 3 months about that question. And the important thing is not me talking about it, it's like encouraging others to realize it for themselves.
For me, it's very interesting to observe that, like how we live in a kind of a spiritual crisis, and there is a lot of conflict in the world, and every night we have the opportunity of having dreams, and it's almost like a cosmic joke. You have like this access to a portal that you can get healing, you can get creativity, you can get connection with other beings, with other plants, with deceased people. It's kind of a magical door that we prefer to shut, and it's almost like metaphorical that we have like an alarm clock that sets you into this busy mind to go to the work, to pay attention to your office, to pay attention to the news, to the notifications, to the things, and you forget about this, what happened that last night. and yes, as you say, like you can feel that lack of connection everywhere, no? How this started for you? Like you always were like as a kid, like having these dreams, or it's something that it develops, something that started at some point, or?
Well, good question. I love what you just shared there as well, and it's just like, how excited are people about Netflix and movies, and there are some great things you can find on there, but every night you have your bespoke Netflix where you're the main character and people are not interested. Especially when you become more lucid, then you really have agency and then can explore and have adventures in whole new ways. For me, I feel like my path has been similar to many. When I was a child, dreaming was very alive for me. I feel like for most children in the world, dreaming is very, very abundant, and it's just a natural phenomenon. And often you don't even know it's special because
it is happening.
And your imaginal realm is like wide open and awake, and so I feel like for me as a child, I do remember my parents saying to me and my sisters, "It's time for bed," and my sisters going, "No," but I would be like, "Yes." It's time for an adventure. And for me as a boy, I had a reoccurring dream, and I would be in the middle of the wide ocean on a tiny, tiny boat with a massive, massive speaker behind me, and I had a guitar, and I was playing like Jimi Hendrix. Like, it was such a beautiful dream. I feel the essence of it, like just talking about it, and like my parents told me they would come into my room and I'd be standing in my sleep playing the guitar, air guitar. And yeah, so I remember that. It was a beautiful dream for me, and I feel like that essence of what that felt like has been a guiding thread for my life. I felt so free in the ocean, and I also just felt so open and freely expressing myself fully with this guitar. And so I never learned the guitar, maybe I should. But I feel like that feeling was something that I was like, there's more. Follow this as I grew older. But like many people, as I become a teenager and as I desired to belong in society and where I grew up, a lot of these things weren't valued. So I actually began to dim this process for myself. And I feel like that's something that many, many people go through. There's a lot written about this by an amazing herbalist teacher called Stephen Harrod Booner, and he talks about our sensory gating channels. They're all like wide open, and then as we become conditioned, you close different sensory gating channels, and the ones that remain open are the ones that you feel are important. Now, like I said earlier, we often feel like the ones that are important are the ones that will help us fit in with society. And so I feel like that process happened to me, and then I learned how to play football. I learned how to do all the things that I thought would make me, fit in with my school. And so then it wasn't until much later I went to my first meditation retreat at the age of 22.
What got you there?
Well, I feel like growing up, it was obvious to me looking at adults, they were supposed to know everything, but then I started to realize they thought different things. and as a child, I looked at the adults and thought, well, some of you are happy, and some of you are really angry, and some of you are really sad. And I thought, well, it's interesting. It's obviously very important what we think about, on our state of mind. That seemed really obvious to me as a kid. And so I grew up, and then I studied psychology at university, curious about the mind, how that impacts our relationships and relationship to life. And it was very interesting. I learned a lot, but it just didn't scratch the itch that I had. And so I felt like the only way for me to really discover the secrets of the mind is to explore it. And what I realized the best way to do that was to be quiet. And I also had this guiding force. I remember walking my dog as like a 17-year-old, and I was always looking for silence. I grew up in a busy town, and I would sometimes cycle for miles to this place, beautiful view in nature, and then a plane would go by and I'd be like, nearly found silence. And so I remember writing in my travel journal on the way to Thailand, where I first sat at a retreat, and it said, I really want to find that silence I've been looking for, and I want to experience a love like I've never experienced before, and I want to see the most beautiful sunrise. And then I ended up at this temple, up many, many steps, a place called Doi Suthep in northern Thailand. And I really struggled, I really saw in the first 3-4 days so much of what I've shared, like all of the bits that I thought were my best bits, I'd made up. They weren't even true. and just how much I cared about what other people thought about me, how crippling that was for me. But then on the 6th day, I had this meditation in I don't know, it was like 4:30 in the morning, and the monks were chanting, and when I opened my eyes was the most beautiful sunrise, and it was above the clouds, like so beautiful, and then this butterfly just flew past at this sunrise, and it was like I could feel its wings. So I could hear its wings in the wind. And then tears just streamed from my face as I felt like I'd touched a little bit that silence, that beautiful sunrise, and that love that I'd been looking for. So after that, I felt like this is obviously really important. Let's do more of this. And I was just very, very lucky to find some amazing teachers along the way. I became very interested in Tibetan Buddhism, and in Tibetan Buddhism there's this real interest and awareness around dream yoga. And so I began studying dream yoga and remembering how to dream. I feel like throughout my whole journey I've been very lucky to study with different lineages, but I've always been very curious about where do all the wisdom traditions meet? You know, where do they all say the same thing? And like, how do we cultivate peace and connection? And interestingly, without me even trying to look for dream schools, every single lineage I've studied with have really valued dreaming. So initially through Tibetan Buddhism for several years, and then through the mystery schools, the more Kabbalistic teachings, where I studied for some time in Guatemala. And then the healing lineage I work with, the Merlin lineage, also valued dreams. And now here we are in Peru, and I feel very, very blessed to be learning from the Quero people. And there's such an appreciation for dreaming along that path as well.
Okay, didn't know about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it's nice to speak to you now because just a few days I've just come down from Apu Alzangata, a very sacred mountain here in Peru, and I've been sitting one of the initiations, the Carpe initiations. And
how that look like?
Well, I just love this path so much. A lot of it is about cultivating beautiful relationships. And so there is a big cleanse. So we were high, about 5,000 meters high on this beautiful snow-peaked mountain. And so as we walked into the mountain with Don Fermin Quispe, our teacher, our maestro, he invited us to get into the river and to plunge into the river 3 times to really cleanse ourselves before we even began. So, and you know, I could see that this river was the melted glacier from above. So I feel like it asks something of you, your commitment to walk the path in many ways. And so my wife and I, we cleansed in this river. Woo! Very invigorating. And then we held what's known as a despacho, which is a beautiful, beautiful ceremony, giving an offering to the mountain, to Great Spirit, and making prayers. And yeah, one of the things I really appreciate about this lineage is just how innocent and pure and beautiful these prayers are. You make a parcel with offerings of flowers, of corn, of rice, lots of different beautiful, colourful offerings within this. And you make a parcel, and once you make that parcel, then you go deep into the mountain and find a place. And it's a bit like, it's like you find a sit spot for some time to meditate. And the idea is just to introduce yourself to these sacred mountains. They're considered the real teachers of this land. And yeah, it's like, I feel like this path is equally as empowering as it is humbling. And so there's like a process of getting naked, metaphorically, and making yourself available to listen to the wisdom of the mountain. And along this process, building up to it, in my dreams, I had many dreams with Apu Azangate, the sacred mountain. And so the process begins way before you even sit to meditate deep in the mountain. And it's continuing in this moment now. So
a lot of people recently is being interested in this kind of work called lucid dreaming. I just finished a 3 months course with you that was incredible. It was a course on lucid dreaming, but I feel that it was a bit of a catch as well, no? Like, because it was much more than just lucid dreaming. For me, I always was a little bit cautious about the lucid dreaming things that I was finding in YouTube, because I found like, okay, this is not going to work. Why? But I discovered that I was wrong. I didn't know what the practice was about until I did your course. So maybe we can start with that word, lucidity. What is lucidity in your yeah? Can you stand a little bit and talk a little bit about that word?
yeah, well, it's so beautiful you asked this because lots of people get hooked on the idea of lucid dreaming, control your dreams,
exactly.
And all of this idea.
That was exactly what was a little bit creating me aversion, because I had my practice of dreaming, being more conscious of my dreams, and I don't want to control this. This is smart enough to be not control, and I think this is like the wrong approach. But what was wrong was me, because it's not about that. So please continue.
Yeah, and so it's for me. I just feel like even having a dream, it can be so insightful. You don't have to be lucid. And to be aware that you are dreaming, for it to be so powerful and to change your life. But you've started with the idea of what is lucidity. Forget dreaming. Lucidity, I like to ask other people this. And so if you're listening to this, what does it mean to you? For me, the word lucidity means presence. And it really speaks to the quality of that presence. And so this process of lucid dreaming is one of cultivating this, I feel like lucidity also, lots of people feel like the word also means fluid. And I feel like that's part of it. It's like the more you practice lucid dreaming, the more fluid and present, and the more you cultivate this quality of your experience, even beyond just simple presence, into more mystical engagement with life. So naturally, through studying the 3-month course, what happens for most people is it's like you're more available to synchronicity. And in that, you're more available to opportunities or to new pathways, rather than just being automatic, you drive to work, or somebody says something, you have an automatic response. You can become more alive. And so if you're more alive to your experience, you can have a lot more fun. You can also have a lot more potential to engage in alchemy. So what you can do when you're more alive and more present is notice if ever you're triggered, where your conditioning is, and instead of reacting in a way that then makes this a pattern in your life, you're alive and aware to it, so you can give yourself some love and then choose a new pathway. So then you don't go around and around in circles. The whole process is, it follows that axiom of as above, so below, as within, so without. So the more lucid we become in our dreams, the more lucid we become in our waking life.
Exactly, that's exactly what I experienced, and it's something that I think I read. I think it was some Buddhist teachings. They were saying that when the dream mind is 7 times more volatile than your waking mind, and then you have 7 times more when you're dead and when you are dying and you go to the bardo. So really, if you really want to be present in your dreams, you need to start by being present in your daily life. And that was the first lesson with you. My first practice in the course was exactly that, slow down. And it's something that also come to me through one of the dreams, of the first dream, like you need to slow down. And I think you mentioned one of these practices, like be 1% more focused in everything every day, or something like, or slow down 1% in every day. And this is something that I start to practice in my yoga, in my walks, in the way I speak, in everything. And I can feel a huge change like this. And then it's like, as I become more lucid and more present with my mind, then the dreams also start to slow down, and so I can understand them a bit more. I can remember a bit more. So yeah, like in a way, like being lucid in dreaming in life. If you want to be lucid dreamer, you need to be lucid living. You know, that's so.
Absolutely, it's and this is for so many reasons. It's just that extra bit of presence invites more intimacy. Which is beautiful within our loving relationships, within our friendships, but also when it's just us by ourselves. Like, it's so easy to now just like be, entertained, and there could have been 4 shooting stars, or like the most beautiful bird. And so if we cultivate this lucidity, we literally bring our power back, our life force. And people are so obsessed now with the extending their life. Like there's so many ways now, like biohacking and all these ways of extending your life. You don't need to do that if you're just present with the life you have. Like if you're 80% more, just 1% more present in your life is so much more richer and full. And so also this process of lucid dreaming, naturally what happens is you pull back some of your awareness inside. So it's not just looking outside for validation or entertainment. You bring some of that back inside, and then by bringing that awareness back inside, you can listen to what it is you really want. Intuition is always easy by hindsight. You're like afterwards, it was like so obvious. It was nagging me. My nervous system was going, no, 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 no. Or my belly was just like, people look for this. And lucid dreams do open you up to guides, to teachers, to very mystical experience. But we can start with just listening to our body. Our body is just going, yay, no, all the time. And as we bring this awareness back in, we can more intelligently, with more wisdom, with more love, choose the path in our life. And what I'm seeing is just like so many people's attention is looking outside. How can I fit in? Please entertain me. And so what happens is you're shifting from being this consumer of reality, just changing the percent to how much you are a creator. And it's really fun to be creative. The more creative we are, I feel like there's a huge correlation between how creative you are and how fulfilled you are in life. And, we need people to do that. A lot of people talk about sovereignty, reclaiming your sovereignty, and that's how you do it. You start to listen to your dreams, what it is that you want, and then you start to apply that to your life. Otherwise, you just become incredibly obedient. And if I look at lots of the people, like the clowns, truly, that are leaders or, in positions of power, then that's not something you want to do. You want to be in your power and choosing from your heart. And the more of us that are doing this, it just creates such a wonderful place to live.
What is exactly, and how does it feel to have a lucid dream?
Well, it's a good question, because people are like, yeah, how would I know? I don't know if I know. Well, there is a spectrum. I think when you have a really strong lucid dream, it's obvious. You wake up the next day and often you just feel a state of euphoria, and that can filter into your whole day the next day. So those really strong lucid dreams are very obvious. But there is a spectrum. Sometimes it's just, everybody's had a lucid dream. I would say everybody has had one, because I mean, have you ever had a dream or where it was scary and you've just for a second you've gone, I need to wake up?
That was probably my first 15 years of existence with terrible nightmares every night. At the beginning I was passively receiving the nightmares and being so scared, my mother sleeping with me every single day until I was 10 years old. And then suddenly I learned by survival how to, okay, this is a nightmare, I'm going to wake up. I tap out and I woke up.
Wow. Yeah, and so I feel like it's a really great path. It's almost like if you have a lot of nightmares, you almost want to look away from dreaming and sleep and just get away from it. But actually, if you turn around and look at it, that's how the nightmares can stop. And so a lot of people take the courses I teach that have nightmares, and that's the first thing that happens is a resolution of reoccurring scary dreams or nightmares. But I feel like everyone's had a dream pretty much that says, you know, this is scary, wake up, and then you go, ah! And so that's a lucid dream, because for a split second you knew you was dreaming. And then there's a spectrum of like going, oh, I'm dreaming. And then grounding yourself and having the composure to stay in that dream. And a lot of people at this point just go, I'm dreaming, and it becomes so exciting, and then the possibilities are endless, you know, so then people wake up because it's so exciting, you know. And so I see that like surfing, because I was crap at surfing. I would climb onto a surfboard, finally stand up and be so excited that I fall straight off the surfboard. I think this is quite common for a lot of people when they first start doing this practice. But then comes in learning the composure and directing your intention in a way where you can learn something, where you can heal something that's ready to be healed, or just take things much deeper. I really love what your intention of just like, but I don't want to control the dream, and recognizing that there's value in the dream as it is. So I do like to encourage people to be curious about what's happening within the dream, and then just to ask deeper questions. If there's a character, like, is there something you'd like to teach me? And just to take it deeper, or can I help you in a dream? It's a wiser way of going, because dreams aren't there for no reason.
And I think that probably is where your Buddhist background came, no? Like, because what I see sometimes that in the lucid dreaming YouTube community, just generalizing, is that they stop there. They stop in, okay, you have a lucid dream, now you can have sex, you can have the car, you can fly, and you can get these superpowers, and you can have fun. And that's it. But I feel that your approach is different. Is that what Dream Yoga gave you?
Yeah, well, Dream Yoga actually was that and more. I feel like there's that level that you see on YouTube, and then there's a higher level, which is more like Carl Jung and looking into shadow work. So, you know, we all have our own unique mess as humans, or things that we're working through, or conditioning or traumas that we're working through. And our dreams are a beautiful way where we can start to access this information. A lot of these things that we hide it under the table. A lot of it's like blind spots we can't even see. And so this shadow work, for me, it's an essential step on the path, you know, and a huge step for us to do. It's like it takes a huge amount of energy, although we don't know we're doing it, to hide these shadow aspects of ourselves. So as you begin to like go, oh, wow, I realize just how much I care what people think about me, and it's directing my life in all of these ways. Or I have such an issue with the masculine, which was a part of my path in healing. As you begin to open the door to it, you stop using all this energy to hide this part of yourself, and then you can relax and be more authentic. And as people are doing this shadow work, I feel like it feels a lot safer to be around people that aren't scared to look at their wonky bits. For me, shadow work is a bit like the ghetto of the mind. And if I look at, and I like to think of it like that, because if I think of some of my favorite music comes from the ghetto. And so I think this is a good way of looking at it. So great sources of rawness and inspiration, blues, hip hop, great music comes from that place. And so it's like a beautiful door that we get to open. And if, I said I studied with the mystery schools, it's more of this alchemical path of initiation. The path to the philosopher's stone, to self-realization, is through that door. It's through the door of the shadow work, and you get to see what it is you're working with before we can transmute it into the gold. And so that's first. And then with the dream yoga, you can open the door into accessing teachings and transmissions. And, in Tibetan Buddhism, you mentioned the Bardo stage, but you also have the opportunity to practice for death. What they say in Tibetan Buddhism is if you can become aware that you're dreaming, I'm dreaming, you can become aware that you're dead when you pass over.
Lucid death.
Yeah, and so they say there's a huge opportunity for awakening at that point, or more of an opportunity to consciously choose your next life. And so that's a big motivation in Tibetan Buddhism. But depending on the lineage, I've experienced many different approaches. The shadow work is so important, and I feel like the more we do the shadow work, it's like we're doing this cleaning. We clean the window, and once we've cleaned the window, we can see more clearly. What we open the door to is profound inspiration. And so then it becomes, I feel like you move back and forth from healing into thriving. You can get your most beautiful ideas or, prophetic dreams of the future. This isn't like an unusual thing that's limited to few. If the moment you start taking your dream diary seriously and you look back over the years, you'll be amazed. Most people will have had a dream of the future that came true.
Can you put like a short example of how shadow work works through dreams? How can you access and how can you work with these energies or in that realm?
Yeah, well, it's like we have our conscious mind. Freud put it simply, the conscious mind is like the top of the iceberg, and then underneath the ocean is this huge part of the iceberg, the unconscious mind. And so in here is stored all of this shadow aspect, or it's just like this huge memory bank. And every part of our being desires to be seen, to be heard, and to be met. It's very simple. And I feel like I've studied healing modalities for, nearly 20 years, and very powerful shamanic methods and plant medicines, but a lot of these processes, at the heart of it is just like truly being heard, truly being seen, truly being met in our truth, in our vulnerability, in all of our aspects of ourself. And so there is a natural mechanism that the unconscious wants to be seen, to be met, to be understood. And so one of the most accessible ways I feel for all humans is to just listen to the dreams, because it's reaching up from there, whether it's like shame that we've felt, or whether it's like our desires, or whatever it is.
Fears, like nightmares or things like that.
Yeah, fears, all of these parts, where do I feel scared? These places, it's all presented to us in our dreams, especially when we have the courage to turn around and to look at them. And the more consciously you direct your awareness, like I feel in a place where I'm ready to meet my shadow, where I'm ready to meet my fears, then your dreams will provide them. And it's almost like, for me, like shaking like a fizzy drink bottle, and what you get to do in your dreams is just go, shh, shh. just take the pressure off. And so an example for me was I didn't know this at the time, but throughout my teen years I started to like see particularly men in power and think, you're an asshole. And it was just like a common view I held for any man in a position of power. My PE teacher, like the politicians, all people in leadership positions, I would begin to label them as an asshole, egotistical, all of these different things. And through my dreams, these characters, archetypes, just kept emerging and coming to me, and I'll be like, asshole. And then it became almost hilarious. Like, is it actually true? Is this actually true, or is it my projection? And so it offered me the opportunity, the mirror, to see that my projections of all men in power wasn't true. At that point, I could say, James, what is it you're scared of? And I experienced some violence growing up, and there are a multitude of reasons that created this worldview in order for me to try and keep myself safe. And as soon as I began to heal this, I could approach these characters in my dreams, and it began to dissipate. And I did the same in my waking life. I began to speak to mentors, male mentors, men in power, and slowly over time I realized it was all made up, that there's lots of beautiful men in positions of power, men that could be my teachers, and so I'm so grateful because I couldn't even see it, and if it weren't for my dreams, maybe I'd still be walking around saying all men in power are assholes. And instead I have dear friends and amazing teachers instead.
Your course was amazing. It was 3 months. For me, it was a journey. I would like to share some things, but first, can you tell people what to expect if they sign up? How this is structured? What do you want to teach them? Or how this amazing journey it is?
Yeah, so I've taught this for many years now, lucid dreaming, and what I realized is it actually takes 3 months. So I hold the course over 3 months, and we meet every Sunday, and it's like you have a group of people that are all lifting you up. They all care about their dreams, and so that in itself is amazing. It's so beautiful what you shared during the course and what everyone else is sharing. It's like, for me, everybody has so much wisdom, and everybody has something beautiful that's emerging, or something sometimes quite vulnerable that's emerging in their dreams. And when we do this in circle, it really holds that container for us to go deeper.
It's like an ancient practice of sharing your dreams in a circle. Really, there is something magic happens when you share the dreams with the people, and that's something that I observe always. Like it's something that I do with Natalia every morning, but also like just by talking about dreams start to speak back to you. So like having, as you say, like a group of people sharing in the WhatsApp, in the calls, and going through this journey together is a big part. Like not to take your contributions to it, but like the group was really important as well for me, and seeing reflections and seeing how we're struggling with the same things, or where the process is similar, was really useful to have that support.
Yeah, and that's why I love to do it as well. I do it because then I get to be in a circle of people that care about their dreams, and I feel like that's a beautiful thing. And every single course I learn something new, and so that's the dynamic nature of Dreamwork. It's not textbook. And there are lots of textbooks. You can read lots of books on it, but it's something different when it's alive, and there's like a swirl and an energy in the group happening. And the reason I like to teach it live is because as things emerge, I can directly speak to the experience, so then it becomes more tangible, more real, and we can all meet each other where we're at and lift each other up from there. And yeah, I've, as I said, I've studied Tibetan Buddhism, the alchemical path, the wizardry path of Merlin, the Kero path, and I like to weave the wisdom in a very accessible way for the group. So instead of believing in anything, people get to just have faith in themselves and trust their own direct experience. You know, I ask myself, what is true in a world full of distractions? And for me, and in lots of these lineages, is, well, the elements. So the elements form the foundation of the journey, and each of the elements have something they can teach us, particularly about being lucid and present. Exactly. And so we go around what's called the medicine wheel, going through the earth element, and in order to lucid dream, you have to be grounded. That's what creates that composure to navigate the astral initially. But more than that, there is an energy with plants, with trees, with the earth, that when we resonate with that more fully, rather than, you know, the busyness of life, computers and things like this, the more we resonate with the earth, the more dreaming becomes available. It's just something I've noticed from...
Which is interesting, because sometimes there is like, okay, no, you are dreaming, you are spaced out, you are not, you know, like it seems like a way of escaping, but what you teach is just the opposite. It's like by being grounded, you dream more, which sounds paradoxical, but is what we've been speaking about lucidity, you know?
Yeah, I think that is, it's important to share. It's like some people might be attracted to like lucid dream for escapism and for that. But actually, it's not a process of getting out of it. It's really a process of getting into it and becoming intimate with it. And so that's the process. And so I feel like most people that take the course, the biggest thing they take away is, I can't believe how much my waking life has changed. Exactly. In beautiful ways. And so going with the earth element initially is important, and in different ways, you know, really interesting shamanic ways of opening to communicate with trees, connecting with crystals, really becoming embodied and in our bodies. And then we move on, and I like to move into the air element next, because our breath is such a beautiful tool to hold presence. You know, if we hold that thread of our breath throughout our day, it's diagnostic. You can see, like, when I'm tight, like, just breathe a little bit deeper, James. And then everything becomes a lot easier. And so using our breath, we can do that in our waking life, but also in our dreams, to hold that thread of awareness. And then also introducing flying practice, being with the air element. I do that because it's fun. It's beautiful. And that, like we said, that euphoric experience when you've been flying in a dream, it rekindles that that giddiness or that innocence of childhood. And I feel like that's a key. You know, the curiosity, innocence, playfulness of being a child.
Believing that the world is magic as well, and that the world is,
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing how, like, we become so dulled, and we just think, and life is just like this, but we are, you know, swirling around the cosmos and evolved to the point where we're having this conversation and can explore our consciousness. If that's not magic, then, you know, I don't know what is. And so, yeah, just rekindling this sense of aliveness, magic of our existence.
Dreams can definitely do that. That was my intention. In the first week, we set up the intention, like, to bring magic to my ordinary life. And it happened.
Beautiful.
So then air, then water.
Yeah, and then water. And then, so once we've done this preparation, it allows us to go much deeper into water and the healing potential. So we can really look at dreams of what they can be used for, how we can heal and change patterns and really meet the depth of who we are, like soul work when we're getting into the water, before moving on to fire, where we begin to realize our true nature. And this is more about a connection with our spiritual nature. You know, like, to what extent are we separate or are we one? And rather than reading about these things of spirituality, let's begin to have direct experiences that can give us faith in something much bigger, much more beautiful, much more unifying than just ourselves.
Also, there was really powerful energy sessions that you do with some modality called vortex healing, where we just lay down, and I don't know what you and your teachers do to us, but I really felt really profound experiences with these online healing sessions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so after each element we hold a group healing, and I like to invite healers from around the world. Sometimes they're taking the course, sometimes they're friends from different parts of the world that are also part of the vortex healing lineage. It's a very deep and very thorough, beautiful lineage. So like I've been studying it for 7 years, and some people have been studying for 30 years. So the study is very, very deep, very thorough. And you can work very specifically with the energy system. So, you know, when we're grounding in the initial bit, we can really support that energetically. So people, which is really nice for the nervous system. And so just to bring everything calmer, to prepare people to be more present. And the different healing sessions, depending on the group, work in different ways. So we focus on different areas that will be helpful. So then it's not just like theory and practice and, you know, doing my dream work, but there's a field of support energetically.
Let me tell you a little bit about my experience in the course. I had kind of a dreaming practice for years. I've been paying attention to my dreams, writing them down, getting a lot of healing, knowledge, wisdom, insights, fun. And I had a couple of lucid dreams spontaneously in my life, so I knew that this was a possibility. I experienced it as you were describing it before, like, okay, like for me, when I have the lucid dream, it was more powerful than any ayahuasca experience, than any plant medicine. It was another kind of experience that it was really before and after. But I never could access to this on purpose. Probably a little bit, I was trying and I never was getting there because I was blocked myself and I was so frustrated because I was not getting there, so I was putting it away, like this doesn't work for me. But I start your course, we go through this process, and it works. It really works. I had a few lucid dreams during your course. As you were saying, it's like an energetic education. At the beginning, I had the lucid dream and I lost it. And slowly by slowly, like paradoxically, just this night before this interview, I just had like this lucid dream, and I experienced just what you described. I was able not just to have it. It's not like, okay, I'm dreaming, and in the dream I was just repeating the mantra, I'm lucid, I'm dreaming, I'm lucid, I'm dreaming. And I don't want to go into details of the dream because it's very long, but just like short story. We were in my house. There was a lot of people with really bad energies in my home. I didn't want them to be here. I was telling them, please go to your houses. There was some fights that I didn't want to participate, and suddenly I realized that I'm dreaming. And I start to go each by one, like, you need to go to your home. Where is your home? Think about your home. And I was putting my hand in her heart, and they were just disappearing and going like with a smile. In one moment, there is like an old woman dying there, and this is like an old friend of my grandmother that died 20, 30 years ago. It's not in my consciousness. It's like a old person that I know there, and this woman is there. It's like, you need to go home. She's not answering me. She's dead with the white eyes. I say, like, where do you want to go? And she tell me, I want to go to God, where God is. And I put her the hand in the heart, and she disappeared. And then I still, one by one, I'm just like saying them goodbyes. In a moment, I start to tell everybody there, we're dreaming. we're dreaming, don't you see? We're dreaming. I jump and I kind of fly. People is looking at me. Say, like, you can also test it. And I do my reality check, this one that I told you, like, look at me, I'm breathing when I'm doing this. And the people try to do that. They say, like, no, it's not working for me. Like, no, it's not working for you because you are just characters in my dream, blah, blah, blah. And then I tied up my house, my whatever, and everything is clean. And I woke up with this feeling of euphoria, or with this feeling of, wow, it's like, what happened here? It's like, it was incredible sensation. And it's as you say, like, first time that when I was there, I was helping, whatever was that energy, people, real people. Maybe that woman was in a kind of borrowed state that I don't know, but it felt really good to use the space to do something useful. So thank you, that happened. And it was magical, like how I could see the progress. And you see my frustration as well sometimes in the group. This is not working for me. I'm just doing the rituals, and now you patient. Sometimes things happen after the course is finished, and years after or months after. So, I mean, it's amazing. But I also want to say, like, it's not just, your course is much more than just having the lucid dream. It's like, even without not having any of this lucid dreaming, is already worth, because you get much more than this. But thank you so much, because I feel you were a really good guide, and this happened.
Wow, so it's so beautiful to hear, and I'm so grateful for all of my teachers that have helped guide me, and so it makes me very proud to hear that you're continuing the practice. And that's it, it's not a 3-month course, it's like a 3-month journey that then opens out a lifetime of dreaming. And yeah, I love what you've shared there, because it's, we can have these spiritual experiences or fantastic lucid dreams, and I forget who his name, I think, was Charlie Tart, I think, but he was like a scientist that explored states of consciousness and stages of consciousness. And I really liked, I must remember his name, but it's beautiful what he shared. We can have these big, expansive experiences, but what we need to do is cultivate these stages of consciousness. And so I feel like the journey is actually one of just cultivating the stages of consciousness. And I see this like tending to a beautiful garden, like your inner landscape. And the more you tend to a garden, take care of the soil, your spiritual experience, like a big experience, could be like buying the most beautiful plant, the most pretty, gorgeous, beautiful flower. And if you've taken care of the garden and you bring it back home and you plant it in the garden, it will continue to grow and be a part of this beautiful garden. Otherwise, if we can have like plant medicine experiences or big breathwork experiences or lucid dream experiences, and they can be this experience and then they just fizzle out, they become like a distant memory, almost like dreams can become. Mm-hmm. So it's important for me that we're just cultivating this inner landscape, so then it makes us available for when the important dreams want to come. And they can land, and then we can plant them in the garden, and it becomes a part of our life. And that feels really important to me, and that's what I'm hoping to do, that it's not just creating experiences for people where they're like, that was so cool, but actually it's something that becomes like alchemy, so then life becomes more beautiful, and we become a beautiful contribution to life.
There is another aspect of the practice that is called the astral world. Where does fit in the cosmovision or whatever, or what is the difference between an astral travel and a lucid dream, if there is any difference?
Yeah, it's a good question. I feel like we love to categorize everything as humans and say this is this is that, but for me the easiest way of putting it is like that spectrum of like, I'm lucid and then falling asleep again, to like, I'm lucid and I can stay in the dream for 10 minutes. I'm lucid and it feels like I'm living in the dream for an hour. I'm lucid. The more you cultivate that, the more it makes astral travel experiences more available. And you know, it's more helpful to teach people this as they're cultivating this awareness, because it's easier. You can say this is your direct experience. But basically it's to do with that quality of experience. When I astral travel, it becomes really obvious. The way, you know, a common check is a computer with your hands, but I can really see energy, and I can see that in others, and the quality is just like
Different quality.
I feel like in movies people depict dreams like all wavy and like smoky, but actually really strong dreams are like HD times a million. And so it's the quality of the experiences like that. So my wife and I just held a retreat, and we went up to a beautiful place called Lares, high up in the mountains, and she came to me the next day when we stayed in this very rustic, beautiful little bedsit. Said, James, and she'd taken the Lucid Dream course. She's taken it twice actually, and she said, James, I just had a dream like none other. And I was flying. It was so beautiful. And then I went and I learned something from a teacher. I was like, amazing. And then we went off and we were working with Huachuma, San Pedro, the next day. And we went for this beautiful walk. Halfway along the walk, she looked back at the valley and she was just like, James, this is where I was flying. And so she was amazed, because she'd not had an experience like that. With astral travel, it's possible to actually, you know, we're made up of so much more than medical anatomy speaks to. We have our physical body, we obviously have our emotional body, our mental body, but we have this astral body which can leave the physical body and travel.
You shared one story that you saw yourself sleeping. Can you share that story?
Yeah, I guess so. Early on when I stayed in the mystery school, we got to stay in a pyramid for 3 months, and we were silent for 40 days in this process, very conducive for dreaming and astral travel. And we were being trained to astral travel to then go and study at a university in the astral. So not just of your mind exploring the shadow, but actually going to a real address in the astral where you can study and learn, receive healing and transmissions. But along that path, the first time that happened, I was lying in my bed, and then I just stood up and turned around, and I just saw myself. So I was in my astral body, and then it was just so beautiful. You know, of all the big spiritual experiences, I'll always remember that first time I did that, because I looked back and then I just held my own face in my hands, and I can't explain. It was just like, you know, people talk about self-love, but I looked back and I was like, oh, James. And I could feel like my whole journey, not all of it easy, and everything I've been through, and just like, I really loved myself. And not only that, through studying Buddhism, I'd read about future lives, past lives, the bardo, that we're more than this body. And so I believed it, I really believed it. But until that moment, in that moment, I knew it was true. That when I die, that there's something that moves beyond this body. So it's profound, what's available as you begin to do that path. And there's lots of studies and research about this now. If you could look at the Monroe Institute, where there's a lot of research around this now.
For somebody that maybe is listening this, is interested in starting the practice, I don't remember my dreams. It's been years that I don't have anything happening at night, and I want to start to walk this path. Maybe they are not ready to get in your courses and like that. But what advice or practice can you share with them?
Well, the real trick, and the key at the beginning, is to get really interested in it. So get excited about it, get giddy about it, talk to people about your dreams, read books about it, or watch really cool films about it. Because there's so much interest in this, there's very there's an awful lot of things you can watch, or fiction films, Inception, Waking Life is such a good one because it teaches you also how to receive lessons in a way, be available for the teachings. But there's so many, you can just Google that. Films about dreaming. And so it becomes part of your consciousness. Just by listening and or watching this, you're saying to your unconscious, I'm interested. And so it becomes more a part of your life. And so that's the key. If you can join a dream circle, there are dream circles around the world now where you can share your dreams online or in person. And a big key is to get a dream diary. So get yourself a dream diary, make it a really beautiful book that's only for your dreams, get a special pen that's easy to write with, and begin writing down your dreams, setting the intention to remember. It's more than a dream diary, it's like a talisman, a magical portal that's going to open the doors to your dreams. With that dream diary, make sure you don't just write down the really cool ones. It's so important to write down the embarrassing ones.
That's how you start to do the shadow work already, no? To start to, okay, this is happening and I'm not judging it or hiding it.
Yeah, because a lot of the journey of this is just like taking out the shame. No more shame, no judgment, and writing those down. So sexy dreams, awkward dreams, scary dreams, embarrassing dreams. And so it's a good idea to keep it private, so then you feel more confident about writing everything down, and just really sharing it. Because what you're doing from your conscious mind to your unconscious mind is saying, I'm listening. And as the unconscious mind goes, like James is really listening, it will reveal more to you. And so that's a really good place to start.
What's next for you? What are you up to?
Well, we're living here in the Sacred Valley in Peru, and really interestingly, years ago, before my wife and I even came together, we dreamt of being in love. And so it's beautiful to now live with Gaia, who is my wife, but it took 4 years for that to catch up in real life. Then when we came together, we started to dream, and we started to dream of this beautiful place with a waterfall, and we drew this big, like, what do they call them? Like a mind mapping,
I know
like vision board.
Vision board, exactly.
We didn't call it that, but we just started to draw our dreams that were happening. There was this waterfall, there was like a sacred fire, and all of this, and so years after that, I still have this thing rolled up. We've been blessed to find some land to steward, and so we found a property with exactly the same waterfall that we dreamt. I don't know, it was in 2018, so yes, 6 years ago we began having this dream, and then now we have this property, so we're building our home here, and we're creating a sacred place for people to learn about dreaming, about alchemy, and to work with Wachuma, the San Pedro cactus. Just a place really for people to come back to their heart, to come back to nature, and to explore the true magnificence of who they are and how they're connected to everything.
Where people can find you?
You can find me, we have a website, awakenacademy.org, and my Instagram is James_flourish.
We put the links.
Perfect. Yeah, so you can find me there. Please come and visit us here in the Sacred Valley. We hold retreats from time to time, and every few months I tend to hold a Lucid Dream course like the one you attended. There's one coming up very soon, so there's still a couple of places on that if people are interested for this winter, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, to join the Dream School. As well as that, I teach other courses like how to do this inner alchemy work, and as well as things like that. And yeah, just get in touch if you're interested. I'm passionate about this, so I love to hear about your dreams, your experiences. Yeah, and I've worked one-to-one with people with the vortex healing that you spoke of.
Yeah, looking forward to do more things with you. As I say, like, this is no joke. It was really profound, and I'm really happy that we made this and that you were my teacher during all this course. We were talking before. I'm so grateful to be living here in a place where I can meet people like you, and where there is people interested in these things. I hope this video can spark a little something inside the people, and open to this, because I think a lot of the solutions for our lives start by looking inside, by finding the silence, and by just listening, to what we have. So thank you for your time, and thank you for doing this. I hope you enjoy.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a joy to connect, and yeah, I look forward to tending to this relationship too.
Okay, James. Okay.
Yeah.